Hey, welcome back to the Ready State. If you followed us, you know that I am not a big fan of the word posture. Now, if we break into the word posture, really the Latin derivative is position. So what we're really using is an analog word for what is a great position. Now, the problem with posture, again, is that it's non-specific. And if I'm like, hey, your posture sucks, you're like, mine what sucks? My non-specific sucks? Usually we talk about posture as it relates to pain, which I think is just a sucker's conversation, right? Pain, no pain should not be the thing we worry about. That should not be the reason we don't, eat a little chocolate cake once in a while, sneak a cheat meal, right? Because you may or may not have something bad happening in 20 years. The key here for us when we're thinking about position is about trying to get into good positions that allow us to maintain access to our physiology, allow us to maintain access to our capacity. So most of us are working at home right now during the lockdown, and some of us are essential and are out in places. But what I want to show you is give you a quick tool that will allow you to achieve the best position you can get in and still maintain all the movement choice and not be rigid that you need to be in some kind of perfect setup, right? And the idea is this. Find a position where you can take the biggest breath. So if I find myself working on my couch, my kids are at the table and I got to get away, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I feel stiff and achy. I wonder what's going on. Because we are hearing a ton through the interwebs, from our emails, from our friends who are working at home on their laptops, and they're not feeling good at the end of the day. So we should be feeling better since we're all locked at home. Theoretically, because we can control the environment a little bit better, but it's not what's happening. So we're not set up for this. So here's what we're going to do. You know that if you got on your back, you could take a huge breath in your belly. So we call this the reference breath. If you're tired of this, hold on to your butt. We're never going to get over this. So big breath in the belly, big breath in the chest, big breath in the upper back, in the ribs. That's your 1 rep max breath. Now check this out. What I'm always trying to do is get back to that central idea. So if I sit up at the edge of my couch or my chair and I say to myself, well, how much air can I get into this position? That's a pretty good shape. Now, go ahead and just choose a different shape. Get all slouchy, let your head go back, open your mouth. Right, feels good. Now take a breath. I don't really have a lot of options there. And what I've seen is someone has turned down my capacity. Now, there's a whole lot of really interesting downstream physiology. Breathing through the neck, stress breathing, shallow breathing, scrubbing off CO2, over breathing, right? Forehead on neck, pulling on my jaw. Like, dude, it doesn't matter. There's a ton of things. More importantly, though, as you just felt, is that position doesn't feel like it gives me access to a big breath. So, don't worry if you're slouching during the day, but do worry that's a pretty terrible position to take a breath in. What you'll see is that there are 100 shapes where you can be in where you don't have to worry about your head orientation or your neck or your back or what your shoulders are doing. You have to be in Shavasana, meditating while you're working. Forget that. Let's think about choosing positions and shapes that allow us to breathe. So even if I'm long with my head propped here, I can take a big ass breath in this position. Guess what? It turns out that that's a pretty rad position. So the idea here is let's get back to feeling. And if you find yourself in a position and you feel like, wow, is my neck feeling stiff? Take a little check breath in that shape and see and recognize to yourself, hey, that's a shape where I don't have a lot of access to my native ability. Because the goal is to be able to stand up then and have access when the lights get turned back on, when this thing ends, when we go back into society, we want to have full access to our power and positions. If you're working at home, you put in this check breath, this lie detector breath. Can you breathe in that position? Because as we know, if you can't breathe in a position, you don't own a position. Thank you, Gray Cook. We'll see you guys tomorrow.